Right now on Morning News Now, 5 prisoners back on American soil after a high-stakes swap with Iran. New this morning, the freed Americans touched down outside Washington, D.C. less than a day after their release as part of a controversial exchange agreement involving billions of dollars in frozen oil revenue.
Husbands and wives, fathers and children, grandparents can hug each other again. So it's a day that I'm grateful for.
We have team coverage on the deal that secured their homecoming, plus the mixed reaction in Washington and what happens next. Also this morning, a mishap mystery. New developments in the search for a missing fighter jet after debris is found in South Carolina. What we're learning about what may have happened before the pilot safely ejected from the aircraft. Plus, reunited at the United Nations. This morning, President Biden and Ukraine's President Zelensky set to meet in person at this year's United Nations General Assembly. What to expect as both leaders prepare to make their address. And she's breaking barriers all the way to the moon and back. This NASA astronaut is gearing up to become the first woman on a lunar mission. I'll share my conversation with Christina Cook in a special edition of our Women Mean Business series. I feel like I went to the moon and back. I bet. To go to the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
Very cool.
So fantastic. And she was such an incredible woman. I'm so excited to share her story.
I'm so jealous of that assignment. Can't wait to see it.
I know. You'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah. Just pitch a NASA story.
I got to do that.
Say yes.
Okay. Done deal. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe Fryer today.
And I'm Savannah. We appreciate you being here. We start this morning with the very latest on that prisoner swap and the dramatic homecoming for 5 Americans who have been held in Iran. While they are now safely home, there are a lot of questions and concerns surrounding that deal to free them.
Yeah, among those biggest concerns, the $6 billion that had been frozen in a South Korean bank. But this new deal now makes those funds available to Iran, though the Biden administration insists that money will only go toward humanitarian purposes.
Unfortunately, the deal that secured their release may very well be the latest example of President Biden rewarding and incentivizing Tehran's bad behavior.
There's a fundamental misunderstanding. The regime will never get to touch the money. They're not getting cash. They can't just cut a check and pull out the money for whatever they want, whenever they want.
Now, we're covering this story from all angles. Hagar Shamal is a senior fellow at the Center for International Policy and host of the Iran podcast. She's with us, along with NBC News global security reporter Dan DeLuce with international reaction. But we start with the NBC News reporter Gary Grumbach. He's in Virginia, where they just landed a short time ago, with more on this. Gary, what more can you tell us now that they're on their way back to American soil?
Stephen, after years of imprisonment in one of Iran's most notorious prisons, 5 Americans are now back here at Fort Belvoir. They just landed in the past few hours. Free Americans back on U.S. soil. And Fort Belvoir is actually larger than the Pentagon. It's about double the size in terms of the number of people that work here. It's filled with medical facilities, filled with a number of defense contractors, so a place where they can come get the help they need. And I have a note here from the pool producer that was inside and saw the arrival, saw them step on U.S. soil for the first time. I want to read a portion of it to you. Each of the former detainees were met by groups of friends and family carrying U.S. flags. They say tears and smiles and kisses and embraces were exchanged right on the tarmac minutes after landing. And the individual and discreet moments of tenderness unwound after 8 years of imprisonment for some of these folks. And after 15 minutes, they moved inside the airport tarmac, where they were greeted by more U.S. officials and some embassy staff as well. And this is the result of years of negotiation, as you mentioned, between U.S. and Iranians and even third-party governments. And it came down to the deal that you mentioned, $6 billion in unfrozen assets and 5 free Iranians now that the U.S. is moving back to Iran. So statements from all over the U.S. government expressing joy at this moment. And Secretary Blinken said something interesting yesterday. This now means 30 folks that were detained wrongfully around the world have been brought back to the U.S. during the Biden administration. Steve, Savannah?
Gary, also, I do specifically want to ask you, because I know you have some reporting here. We understand you spent some time with one of the families over the summer. Obviously, this has been such a difficult ordeal for those families. Tell us what you heard from them.
Yeah, I had to be able to have a conversation with Hannah Sharji. She's the daughter of one of the men that was released and is back on U.S. soil this morning. And she spoke to me about, at the time, how her father was still in Iran, and she did not know when she was next going to be able to see her father. And she talked about, she's in her early 20s, she talked about, she was not talking about how many years by the number of years that she hasn't seen him, but by the number of birthdays that she's missed, by the number of college move-in days that he wasn't able to see her and be with her. And you think about, your own lives, what has happened in the past few years, weddings, births of children, big of life events that these family members simply weren't around for. And communication, obviously, very difficult through the Iranian prison. So this is something in a day that they have been waiting for years, guys.
Yeah, just hard to wrap your mind around exactly what it would be like to be away from your family for that amount of time with communication so limited. Dan, I wanted to bring you in here. We heard one of those hugest criticisms so far, the release of that $6 billion, which the Biden administration says is only supposed to be used for humanitarian purposes, medication, food, that type of thing. Well, through a translator, Iran's president said that Tehran has full authority over how that money is sent. A little bit of a discrepancy there. So how can the U.S. be so sure this will only go toward humanitarian purposes?
That's right. I think the U.S. is saying that there's a very firm agreement, whatever the Iranian president might say for perhaps domestic consumption back home. The Treasury Department has full visibility on that money in a central bank, in Qatar's central bank. It is not in an Iranian bank account. And now, what is true, of course, is by getting this access to this money to buy food or medicine, that frees up other resources, other funds Iran has in its own coffers to buy weapons or for other purposes. So that part is true. I think it's also important to point out that just about every U.S. president has had to make some kind of concession to hostage-taking governments or groups, dating back to Ronald Reagan in the 1980s, who famously sold arms to Iran to try to get American hostages freed in Lebanon, something that he first denied and then later admitted. Of course, former President Trump also made prisoner swap agreements, and there were 3 Americans released out of North Korea. And then after that, there was a U.S.-North Korea summit that was sort of a reward to North Korea. That's how that was interpreted. So these are incredibly difficult decisions, and every president has to grapple with these.
All right, Hagar, we wanted to bring you in here and get some reaction to this. What could this signal for U.S. and Iranian relations? I know things, of course, have been tense since the U.S., the Trump administration, backed out of the 2015 Iranian nuclear deal. Could this restart talks?
Well, let me put this in context for a second. I am an Iranian American living in exile. I can't travel to my homeland specifically because of what happened to these people. And I see myself in those 5 people. That could be me or a family member. So that's how emotional this gets for many Iranian Americans watching here in the U.S. or even across the world. As far as your question on President Trump, yes, I think the increasing of tension, this is essentially the byproduct of 4 decades of animosity between Tehran and Washington. Each of them has a long list of grievances against the other without seeing the other side. And I think this all comes down to being an increase in tensions and hostilities between the 2 sides, and each seeing the other doing them wrong. And so I think the increase in tension, especially after President Trump pulled out of the nuclear deal, increased what he called maximum pressure on Iran, imposed economic sanctions on the country. It emboldened the Iranians, it emboldened Tehran to go out and take even more detainees and use them as political pawns to be able to do these kind of deals, free up assets or reduce the pressure of sanctions on the country. So I see this definitely as an increase and also a byproduct of the increased hostility. So I think the administration has taken a step toward de-escalation. This could be an opening possibly for even more understanding.
Important perspective. Dan, Gary, Hagar, thank you all so much.
Well, Hunter Biden is going after the IRS in a lawsuit the president's son alleges agents repeatedly and intentionally publicly shared his private tax information while they criminally investigated him. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has the details.
Hunter Biden suing the IRS arguing the agency and 2 whistleblower employees have sought to publicly damage his reputation. Those 2 agents testified under oath the Justice Department gave the president's son special treatment in its tax investigation. Biden's lawsuit says the whistleblowers, quote, sought to embarrass Mr. Biden via public statements to the media in which they and their representatives disclose confidential information about a private citizen's tax matters. Career IRS agent and whistleblower Joe Ziegler recently telling NBC's Tom Winter investigators were prevented from interviewing witnesses.
We were hamstrung by prosecutors assigned to the case constantly.
Attorneys for whistleblower Gary Shapley calling the lawsuit a, quote, frivolous smear by Biden family attorneys to intimidate any current and future whistleblowers. Biden was just indicted on 3 gun charges and faces the possibility of additional tax charges after the plea deal struck with prosecutors that would have allowed him to avoid prison time imploded under a judge's scrutiny. And a spokesperson for the IRS tells NBC News they do not comment on pending litigation.
All right, Ryan Nobles, thank you so much.
A suspect is in custody this morning in connection with the deadly shooting of a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy. The 29-year-old man was arrested Monday after a grueling hours-long standoff with police. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffith has the latest.
36 hours after their deputy was murdered just outside the Palmdale Sheriff's Station on the road just behind us, investigators have a suspect in custody, and they're now focused on determining the motive. The manhunt for a suspected cop killer is over. SWAT teams arresting 29-year-old Kevin Cataneo Salazar in an early morning raid following an hours-long standoff.
For right now, we believe we have the murderer of our deputy in custody.
Authorities saying they recovered multiple firearms and detained the suspect at a home he shared with his parents in Palmdale, less than 5 miles from the sheriff's station, where 30-year-old deputy Ryan Klinkenbroomer was shot and killed Saturday as he pulled up to a red light in his patrol vehicle. Surveillance video from the sheriff's station's own camera capturing the moment the suspect vehicle stops next to the officers, then takes off.
Honestly, it's really upsetting.
The suspect's family says he had been placed on multiple 72-hour psychiatric holds.
He was mentally ill. He heard voices. We try to help him.
The family would not confirm how he obtained the firearm, as investigators now work to determine a motive for the murder. Is there anything about him or that you've discovered as to why this happened?
That's the million-dollar question. Everybody wants to know, why would somebody do something this horrible? And we intend to find out.
Deputy Klinkenbroomer, engaged to be married just days ago, leaves behind a grieving family and community trying to comprehend this senseless tragedy. The deputy's family released a statement through the sheriff's office expressing their gratitude to the community that has come and laid flowers and candles here at the sheriff's station. They're also expressing how this grief is impacting their family. They've asked for privacy. Back to you.
Dana Griffin, thanks so much.
The United Auto Workers Union is sending a warning to the big 3 Detroit automakers this morning. It says more strikes are coming if the sides aren't able to make some serious progress in the coming days. Meanwhile, there's more trouble for Ford, with auto workers in Canada also threatening to join the picket line. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa has the latest.
Savannah, Stephen, good morning. The stalemate continues here in the Detroit area. You can hear the support for the picketers who are back out on the picket line this morning. And overnight, the UAW basically ramping up pressure on the big 3. Union President Shawn Fain releasing a video saying that if there isn't, quote, serious progress on these negotiations by noon Friday, that more local chapters will be called on to walk out, adding, quote, they are not messing around. And then new this morning, Ford responding to that video saying right now they are working on contingency plans to keep Ford cars on the road in the event basically of more work stoppages. And then one more headline this morning you might have seen last night. Workers at Ford's Canadian plants were also on the brink of going on strike. That actually was averted at the last minute when those workers say they got what they called a substantive offer just minutes before last night's midnight deadline. At the same time, a lot of experts say back here in the States especially, it could be several weeks before the American public starts to feel the impact of these strikes. Experts saying if this drags on, they'll likely see car prices going up. They'll see parts becoming harder essentially to find. Of course, the union says, let that support or go by. The union says if they expand these strikes, those impacts could hit much sooner. At the same time, we are also getting sort of an estimate on the literal cost of these strikes to the company. Goldman Sachs estimating that GM and Ford are each losing, or will each lose, between $100 million and $125 million per week if and when this drags on. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Maggie, thank you so much.
All right, now to the bizarre and extraordinary search for a missing F-35 fighter jet, which appears to have finally come to an end yesterday. Authorities are now saying they found a debris field in South Carolina, and this comes a day after a pilot was able to safely eject from that jet during a, quote, mishap before the aircraft went missing. NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Cubie has more on how this mystery unfolded.
After an all-out search that began on Sunday afternoon for this missing F-35, late Monday, defense officials told us they had located a debris field in a rural part of South Carolina, about 2 hours north of Joint Base Charleston. A mystery unfolding in South Carolina after an F-35 fighter jet disappeared. And now all Marine aircraft are grounded. The jet was flying near Charleston, South Carolina Sunday when the military says it experienced a mishap, but is not providing any details on exactly what happened. The pilot ejected safely and was taken to a nearby hospital. The jet, on the other hand, continued to fly and disappeared, leading Joint Base Charleston to ask the public for help finding it, tweeting, "If you have any information that may help our recovery teams locate the F-35, please call the Base Defense Operations Center." Officials are focusing around 2 lakes north of the base near its last known location.
My understanding is the transponder malfunctioned, and that was an issue. We don't know why the pilot ejected. Obviously, we'll get answers to that at a later time.
Marine Corps leadership ordered all their aircraft grounded for 2 days in the wake of the missing F-35 and 2 deadly crashes last month. An F-18 crashed near San Diego, killing the pilot, and an MV-22 Osprey went down in Australia, killing 3 Marines on board. The F-35 stealth fighter jet is the Pentagon's most expensive weapon system, with a whopping $100 million price tag. Its ability to hide put to the test as search and recovery continues. One of the big questions remains, why wasn't the U.S. military able to communicate with the F-35 after it disappeared? According to one U.S. official, it appears that the transponder may have malfunctioned. Of course, this entire incident is now under investigation.
Such a head scratcher. Courtney, thank you.
That's a great way to put it. Well, we are keeping an eye on some flood watches in the New England area.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman joins us now with more. Hey, Angie.
Hey there. Good morning, guys. We've got still some rain around the same kind of similar area that we did yesterday, although parts of the Northeast much drier. We've just got the rain draped across parts of northern New England, Maine, New Hampshire, a little bit in Vermont and parts of New York as well. But the good news is those flood watches that you mentioned, a lot of them have come down so far this morning. We've got really saturated grounds in parts of Maine and New Hampshire, of course. So that's where some of the spots will remain for flooding concerns. So just a heads up, if you live in any of these areas, you might see some flooding concerns throughout the morning hours. Most of those will start to expire at the latest by early afternoon. So we'll see some improvements there. The coastal low that has been responsible for all this rain working through is on its way out. It's going to move over parts of eastern Canada. And so we'll gradually start that drying from south to north throughout the day today. Moving to the Central Plains, that's where we'll have a good chance of some strong to even severe storms today. Places like Oklahoma, Texas, you could see those threats, including hail, winds. Tornado threat is low, but it's mainly going to be the hail and winds. And some of that hail could be upwards of maybe baseball size. So just a heads up there. We'll also see some additional rainfall, anywhere from 2 to 3 inches possible, but upwards of 4, maybe 6 inches for localized areas. And of course, 'tis the season. We can't not talk about the tropics. We have Hurricane Nigel. That is a Category 1 hurricane right now. That's a fish storm, though. We're not worried about it. It's not going to impact any land. It'll continue moving to the north and then eventually to the east over the coming days. We're watching one area to develop over parts of the eastern Atlantic, just off the west coast of Africa. We'll see what happens with that system, maybe a depression by the later parts of this week. And then notice off the coast of the southeast, that's where we'll see potentially a subtropical system develop. What does that mean for us? It just means that we're watching a potential low develop that could bring some heavy rain to parts of the Carolinas and up into the mid-Atlantic. Atlantic and Northeast, just in time for, guess what, the weekend. So we'll be watching that area, guys, potentially interrupting some weekend plans. But the good news is Nigel not impacting us. We're not looking at any major systems working towards the United States in at least the short term.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes. Good news.
Could be
Here with
worse.
the good news.
It's like a little rainy weekend for that news.
Exactly.
Angie, thanks so much. Well, there is much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a shared struggle. A new study shows Gen Z is the least happy among adults. The reason why and what can be done to help.
First, though, after the break, a growing crisis at the southern border. Thousands of migrants arrested in just a single day. The latest on that coming up after the break. Welcome back. All eyes are on New York City this week as the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly continues.
That's right. Leaders from at least 145 countries have come together for meetings and debate. Later this morning, President Biden is set to address the assembly, and leaders will also hear from Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, making his first in-person appearance at the UN since the start of the war in Ukraine. NBC's Mike Menely joins us now here on set with a preview of what we can expect this morning. Hi, Mike. Great to see you. It's always good when you're here in New York to have you with us.
Even if I bring the traffic.
I was going to say, even if it means that you're here and nobody then can get around New York. But President Biden's speech set to get underway this morning about 10 a.m. What can we expect there?
So you've heard me talk a lot about how the president views foreign policy, that this is a fight between democracies like the United States against autocracies like China and Russia. And that sounds a lot like an academic discussion, right, for experts at a think tank. But one of the goals an administration official told me just last night is for the president to come in, his third speech to the UN General Assembly, and bring receipts to say, this is how I've pursued foreign policy, and this is what's delivered for the entire world. Working through institutions like the United Nations, like the World Bank, improving those institutions, reforming them, have helped bring real results. And he wants to build on what we were talking about a week ago at the G20 in India. Big improvements like on infrastructure, aid to the developing world. So that's going to be a big focus early on. But then, of course, the number one issue you're going to hear about is the war in Ukraine. The president, once again, is going to make a strong statement in support of countering Russia's aggression. And that's why we're also going to see the president, after his speech, meeting with a group called the C5+1, another one of these acronyms. It's actually a group of Central Asian countries, former Soviet republics. We've talked a lot about Russia's western neighbors, like bordering Ukraine. Their concern about what would happen if Russia goes beyond Ukraine. This is another group of countries that the president's trying to send a message to Russia. Democracies can deliver, and we're going to try to bring these countries into our sphere of influence as well.
And more on that focus for Ukraine. Hours after President Biden speaks, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky set to speak as well. What are we expecting from him? And also, he's expected to go to the White House. What are we expecting there?
Yeah, that's right. One of the things that the White House says is important what President Biden says about the war in Ukraine. There is no more effective messenger for his people than the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. And so his speech is going to be a really important one, not just his speech to the General Assembly as a whole, but he's also going to be attending a Security Council meeting, that smaller body, which is going to be focused on Ukraine. A body, by the way, that includes Russia. And so one of the big potential flashpoints today is going to be, what does Zelensky say when we hear from the Russian foreign minister? Is he going to call again, as the president has supported him, for reforming the Security Council? It shouldn't include countries like Russia that stand in the way of the actual charter of the UN itself. The big focus, of course, in Washington is going to be the spending fight. We're only 11 days from a potential government shutdown, right? And we know one of the big conflicts there is whether to continue the support that we've seen for Ukraine. So it's important to have the meeting with the president, but even more important, the meeting Zelensky is going to have with lawmakers on the Hill. Quickly,
before we let you go, also tell us what Zelensky did yesterday. I know he visited with some soldiers who are being treated here in the U.S.
That's right. These are soldiers who have lost limbs. They're being treated on Staten Island as part of a charity. And this is, I think, exactly what the White House is talking about when they talk about what an effective messenger. It's one thing to talk to world leaders. It's another thing to have these kind of pictures showing the empathy, showing the support that he's continuing to show for those who are on the front lines in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
All right. Mike Memley, thank you so much.
Yeah, great to have you stop by. Well, Canada is investigating potential links between India and the murder of a Canadian citizen earlier this year. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told Parliament that intelligence agencies are looking into allegations India was involved in the death of an advocate for Sikh independence. The man was gunned down back in June outside of a cultural center in British Columbia. Trudeau says he discussed the murder with India's Prime Minister Modi during last week's G20 summit. Ottawa and New Delhi have both expelled senior diplomats. India has called the allegations absurd. Well, NBC News has learned the number of illegal crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border has been rising since the start of September. That's according to two Department of Homeland Security officials. They say more than 7,500 migrants were arrested at the border this Sunday alone. That is compared to the daily arrest average of 4,300 back in July.
In a statement to NBC News, a Customs and Border Protection spokesperson said, quote, CBP is working according to plan and as part of our standard processes to quickly decompress the areas along the southwest border and safely and efficiently screen and process migrants to place them in immigration enforcement proceedings consistent with our laws.
NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us for more on this. Hey, Julia, great to see you. What do these new numbers tell us about the effectiveness of the Biden administration's approach to migrants at the border? Why are these policies having less impact now compared to when they were enacted in May? And how bad is it? I mean, put those numbers in context for us.
Yeah, to put it in context, let's go back to mid-May. That was right at the end of those COVID-19 restrictions known as Title 42. We saw a record high of 10,000 apprehensions per day. Now, we're not there. We know from that snapshot on Sunday, it was 7,500. And those numbers are pretty consistent with what we've been seeing over the past week. But the thing is that after those record highs in May, they dropped suddenly. We were looking at 3,000, 4,000 apprehensions a day. It was a really low number. And the Biden administration really credited that to the new policies that make it harder to claim asylum at the border if you're crossing illegally, but easier to apply for an appointment or to apply from your home country and take one of the new legal pathways they set up. But it looks like those numbers are starting to rise. They usually do rise around this time of year, and it is having an impact. We've seen in Tucson and San Diego, they've been so overcrowded in those areas, they've had to release some migrants on the streets before they have shelters or a place to go. And in places like in Del Rio and Eagle Pass, Texas, we've seen migrants really swarming across those really caravan big groups pictures that we've seen in the past. Those are starting to come back.
And Julie, I wanted to ask you about that point. Some areas, of course, seeing more migrants than others. I'm most familiar, having lived in Texas for a long time, from Texas, seeing that they've already been struggling with resources to deal with this influx of migrants. How are they able to respond now?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're a Texan, you know that when you've seen one part of Texas, you've only seen one part of Texas. Every part is so different. So there's some areas like Rio Grande Valley that's actually the busiest right now. They had 1,800 apprehensions on Sunday, but they're able to deal with that. They're a big sector. They have the most resources. They have a great charity network there through Catholic Charities where they can take in 1,000 migrants a day and have them stay there overnight, and then they're able to go on to their next destination with the resources they need. That's not so in remote areas like Eagle Pass, Texas, and that's why we're seeing the numbers rise in those areas. Also can be the case in parts of Arizona that are really remote, where all of a sudden they're seeing maybe a group of 200 with children, and they need to get those resources. Part of that CBP statement talked about decompression. What that means is sometimes they'll take migrants from one part of the border, put them on a plane, and fly them to another part of the border simply because they don't have the resources in the areas where the migrants arrive.
Julia, you just mentioned children. I mean, it's no surprise as the number generally goes up, the number of migrant children also goes up. Tell us about that.
That's right. That's something that probably has these officials I'm speaking with the most concerned. They're seeing a rise in children coming with families. We've seen that in some of these areas in Arizona and along the Rio Grande River in areas like Del Rio and Eagle Pass. They also said in just the Rio Grande Valley that they're now averaging about 150 unaccompanied children crossing per day. Sometimes those numbers have even gotten north of 200, and that's up from what we saw in June around the 90s. So that number is ticking up, and when that goes up, that means more children in the custody of Health and Human Services. They have to find a sponsor for them to go to. That's what really got this administration in trouble in 2021, and they're hoping that they can avoid that again.
All right, Julia Ainsley, as always, thank you so much for your reporting.
Well, coming up this morning, actor and comedian Russell Brand facing a lot of fallout. Numerous allegations have surfaced of sexual assault. When we come back, what he's saying about those claims as he postpones the rest of his stand-up tour.
And the fine line between showing support and enabling loved ones' behavior. We'll explain the difference and why it's so important in your weekly check-in. This is Morning News Now. We are back now with the fallout from those disturbing allegations against comedian and actor Russell Brand. 4 women told Britain's Sunday Times and Channel 4 Dispatches Brand sexually assaulted or raped them between 2006 and 2013. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has the latest on his response and what police are now learning.
British comedian and actor Russell Brand fighting back against numerous allegations of sexual assault.
What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations.
4 women coming forward in the British media and telling their stories in a documentary entitled Russell Brand in Plain Sight, a joint investigation by the Sunday Times, The Times, and Channel 4 Dispatches.
I was like, oh my God. He raped me.
Their allegations spanning the years from 2006 to 2013 include rape, sexual assault, and abuse. One woman says she was 16 years old at the time of her alleged assault.
I was pushing him away, and he wasn't backing off at all. And so I ended up having to punch him really hard in the stomach to get him off.
Another woman sharing text messages with The Times she says are between her and Brand following her alleged assault in 2012 in Los Angeles, writing, "When a girl says no, it means no." Brand allegedly replying with an apology, quote, "I'm very sorry." The 48-year-old rising to fame for his often lewd and crass comedy and stand-up routines.
Immaculate Conception, you're having a laugh on your sweetheart. Tell me his name!
In this appearance on The Jimmy Fallon Show in 2013, he made jokes of a sexual nature towards actress Katharine McPhee.
I find Katharine very attractive. Then when she said exchange numbers, I thought things that I'd like to exchange with her.
Numbers! Numbers. He's a fan of numbers. He likes numbers. He's not a numbers fan.
And genes.
He's number. All right, no, you can't.
Genetic info.
In his video statement, Brand not shying away from his past.
These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies. And as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now.
The fallout already leading to consequences. The remaining dates of Brand's UK stand-up tour Bipolarization now postponed with ticket refunds announced by the promoter. Brand was employed as a BBC presenter during the time frame of the allegations, the broadcaster issuing a statement saying they are urgently looking into the issues raised. His talent agency and book publisher both cutting ties with the actor who played prominent roles in Hollywood hits.
I respect you for doing that, but the content of what you said has made me hate you.
And had a short-lived marriage to pop star Katy Perry. In a Vogue interview 10 years ago, Perry making this cryptic remark about their marriage, saying, quote, "I found out the real truth, which I can't necessarily disclose because I keep it locked in my safe for a rainy day." Brand opening up about his struggles with alcohol, heroin, and sex addiction in an interview with 60 Minutes Australia.
How is it destructive for you?
Well, if you're sleeping with so many people that you can't get to work, or you're not being properly discerning about who the people are that you're sleeping with, then eventually you're going to get into trouble.
In the wake of the allegations and publicity, London police confirming they've now received an allegation relating to a 2003 incident and calling on any other alleged victims to come forward.
Our thanks to Valerie Castro for that reporting. Well, according to the Sunday Times, these women did not report these incidents to police, though one allegedly did make a complaint to Brand's talent reps in 2020. In a statement, the agency said Brand categorically and vehemently denied the allegation made in 2020. The agency now says it was misled and has terminated all professional ties. One of the victims said she was assaulted in California. She tells the paper she went to a rape crisis center after the incident and police were notified, but she declined to file an official report, worried that her words wouldn't mean anything against Brand's. NBC News hasn't spoken to any of the accusers or independently confirmed their allegations.
Time now for our weekly mental health check-in, and we have some bad news for Generation Z. We'll break down why that age group is less likely to report their mental health as excellent.
Plus, are you an enabler? We're going to break down the difference between helping someone with their mental health and enabling them. It's an important one. Let's bring in licensed marriage and family therapist Dr. George James for more on these mental health headlines. Hello, Dr. James. Always great to have you with us. So let's start with that study on generational happiness. A report from Gallup and the Walton Family Foundation found just 20% of Gen Z describes their mental health as excellent. That's the lowest among all generations. Why are we seeing such low numbers, and what can we do here?
When you look at the numbers, Gen Z is actually ages 12 to 26. And you just think about what they've been through in the past few years. They've been through a lot, and it is overwhelming. So it makes sense that they would say that they're struggling more with their mental health from the pandemic, from injustice, from so many other things, employment, and thinking about the future. But even despite that, they are willing to say and own their anxiety or their depression, but they're also more optimistic than we might actually realize. They believe more about their future. So they're owning their mental health, but also believe in the positive about the future.
And Dr. James, I wanted to ask you about this enabling thing. It might be our first instinct most of the time to try to shield our loved ones when they're suffering, they're going through pain. But mental health experts now saying that there's a really fine line between helping someone and enabling their behavior. So walk us through that difference. How do we know when we're enabling?
So, yeah, there's a difference between support and enabling. Support usually is when we're trying to encourage someone. We're trying to help them be their independent self. We're also trying to show love and care, and it usually leads to positive change. Enabling sometimes is where we're trying to get in the middle of them moving forward. As we see, it's putting our own needs above theirs. It's solving problems for our loved ones. It's even justifying their behavior. When we enable, we are also trying to take responsibility for what's going on and not allowing them to figure it out. And oftentimes it keeps them in this negative cycle. So it's like doing their homework instead of helping them with their homework.
Dr. James, I want to ask you now about morning routines. Okay, they can be kind of hard to get into, especially on our schedule, but there are some ways to improve the start of your day that then is going to make those good feelings last throughout the day. Tell us about this.
Yeah, there's lots of things that we can do that can help us and energize us and get us to a good place. But there's something that says that you can have an amazing day. And there's a few things that they talk about. One is to take a pause, relax, take a moment for yourself, maybe get into the routine thinking about your routine for the day. Positive pants, meaning put on the clothes that make you feel good, that make you feel a good way about yourself. Find ways to also move around and have some energy, get some sunlight. There are all these things that when you put it together can help. And there's also something about stacking good habits. When you put one habit on top of another, that can also feel good. So if you try to put these things all together, it can allow you to have a great day and a great focus for the day and hopefully good energy on that day. So try it out and see how it works for you.
All right, there you go. Dr. George James, thank you so much. We'll see about trying that out.
Yeah, sounds great.
In the 4 a.m. hour,
yeah. Coming up this morning, changes coming to Capitol Hill after the break, the new dress code that allows lawmakers to go casual.
And she is shattering the glass ceiling, going all the way to the moon. My conversation with Christina Cook ahead of her history-making lunar mission. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. Some news from D.C. now, where things are getting a little less formal on the Capitol. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced that he will no longer enforce the unofficial dress code, requiring most senators to wear business attire. The decision would potentially allow Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who has been seen dressing down while going about his duties, to wear casual attire like hoodies, which he favors, along with gym shorts on the Senate floor. But despite these changes, not everyone can loosen up. The Senate staff will still have to follow that old dress code.
All right, well, now for what's making financial headlines, Instacart is set to hit the stock market. Looks like it's delivering promise to investors.
Yeah, for more on that, CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with other headlines as well. Good morning, Silvana.
Hey, Stephen. Good morning. Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, so Instacart is hoping its IPO will deliver for investors. The grocery delivery service pricing shares at the top end of the expected range, valuing the company at roughly $10 billion. Instacart will start trading today on the NASDAQ under the symbol CART. The offering follows a successful debut of chipmaker ARM Holdings last week, and a positive performance could open the window for others to dive into the market, including Birkenstock, which is expected to make its debut in October. Olive oil prices are spiking to record levels. They hit $8,900 a ton this month. That's more than double compared to last year. A severe drought in major producing countries, including Spain, Italy, and Greece, is impacting supply and attracting thieves. About 50,000 liters of extra virgin olive oil were stolen from a Spanish oil mill last month, worth about $450,000. Now, analysts warn if supplies continue to be depleted by the drought, they could be exhausted before October. Target plans to hire nearly 100,000 workers for the holiday season. Now, that matches the number of people the retailer brought on the past 2 years. Target is also offering deep discounts starting the first week of October as part of its annual Circle Week event. You'll be able to find several items under $25 across apparel, home, food, and essentials. Holiday sales are forecast to grow at their slowest pace in 5 years, guys.
Wow, 100,000 people.
Yeah, that means the holidays are really coming.
There you go.
Yep, they are.
Salon, thank you.
Well, now to a very special edition in our series, Women Mean Business. And this one took me to NASA and back. Well, next November, history will be made when the Artemis II mission sends the first Black astronaut and the first woman astronaut on a lunar mission. That woman is Christina Cook, and she's playing a pivotal role in NASA's push to get back to the moon.
I grew up in a small town in North Carolina. I didn't even see another engineer, much less an astronaut.
And at that time, also probably not really seeing women as astronauts.
Definitely not.
Christina Cook is used to being the only woman in the room. And come next year, she'll be the only woman who's headed to the moon when she embarks on the Artemis II mission planned for November 2024. But that first is just the latest on a long list, going back to when she was named an astronaut a decade ago. A phone call she remembers well.
And I actually started out by telling them, hey, it's okay, I had a great time interviewing. Thanks for considering me. And they actually had to interrupt me and say, actually, we're calling to tell you we want you to join our team to come to Houston.
Since that day, she's set records, like the longest single spaceflight by a woman with a total of 328 days in space, and participating in the first all-female spacewalk.
What was that moment like, going out with all women?
Yeah, it was incredible. Hopefully that got people thinking about where we're at. We weren't just out there for a participation ribbon. We wanted to actually be excellent spacewalkers. This isn't very well known, but the coolest thing about that spacewalk was it was unplanned. It was the only spacewalk I did that was not planned prior. I never trained for it. She never trained for it. We actually went out to fix something that had broken. So we designed the entire spacewalk in 1 week with the teams on the ground. And normally a spacewalk is developed for years.
Along the way, she's faced obstacles unique to women in the male-dominated field.
The fleet of suits is actually built for a bigger-bodied astronaut. So I go out and do spacewalks in a suit that's 2 sizes too big for me. There actually are time factors that they add in for how much longer tasks will take in someone who's doing a spacewalk in a suit that's too big for them.
Are there things about your job that you think are changing and will change and will continue to get better as more women do this?
Definitely. In fact, the suit is a perfect example because the next suits that they're making for the moon surface operations are actually going to, by design, fit a very wide range of people.
Among your many accomplishments, adding another one, the first woman on a lunar mission. What was it like to get that news?
It was great news. Funny story, we were actually all late. No one was on time to this meeting. We had a meeting put on our calendars under a different pretense, so none of us had any idea how important this meeting was going to be. And we were asked, how would you like to fly on Artemis II? When, after walking in and seeing the people in the room, I knew that it wasn't a meeting I should have been late to. But after kind of regaining my composure, it took me a second to take it in. I said it would be an honor, and we'll try not to disappoint you in the future by being late.
They'll be on time, and they'll be uber prepared. Cook will be a mission specialist on the 10-day Artemis II mission that will send 4 astronauts around the moon on the Orion spacecraft. The team is currently training on a simulator Cook is seeing for the first time with us.
This is our sim, and it's just getting ramped up. And this is the first time the seats have been installed, and we have software up, and the displays are on. When we're on that far side of the moon is when we will probably be executing something like this. There we go. Oh, there, finally. Yep, the moon is there. This is the dream come true of any astronaut.
It's still exciting every single day that we get to come and do training in this mock-up.
The crew is taking courses in this exact replica of Orion.
This is my seat, so you're going to be sitting in my seat. Okay, that's great. I claimed this spot up here. That's going to be my sleep spot. We'll be laying on our backs, facing up. And when we start to actually accelerate, we'll have that feeling of acceleration like this way, like kind of being pushed back in your chair.
When you think about that moment, nerves?
Are you scared? Are you excited? What's that particular moment feel like?
The moment that you actually lift off. Honestly, if I could assign one word to it, it would be the word fulfillment, because you finally realize you are fulfilling the mission that you came here to do.
Okay, how cool is she? Christina says that she sees one of her responsibilities on this mission as taking the dreams, hopes, and goals of everyone, all of us with her, because she sees this as everyone's journey. I also, of course, asked her what her advice for others who want to follow in her footsteps would be, as we always do on Women Mean Business. She says that she wants you to do what scares you. She said if you go towards that and not away from those things that might feel sort of out of your reach, that is where the magic happens. And look at that. It's taken her all the way to the moon.
She knows what she's talking about.
And she was so fantastic, so much fun, and just the sharpest, most incredible woman who was so willing to share so much with me. It was the best day.
She seems so down to earth, ironically, because she's up in space. Love that.
That was good.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Coming up, it's a firework of a deal.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll break down pop star Katy Perry's mega $1 million sale of her masters. More on that agreement and what exactly it means when we come back. Welcome back. Some good news if you love Blink-182. They're announcing a brand new album coming next month. The trio announced the news in a video trailer yesterday morning. The 17-track album was entirely produced by drummer Travis Barker and will be the first release since Tom DeLonge rejoined last year. The title track, One More Time, drops on September 21st, and the album will be out on October 20th. Some flashbacks to the early 2000s.
For real.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Love that.
Awesome. All right. Well, speaking of music, we're going to end this hour with a firework. Pop sensation Katy Perry selling her music rights for a whopping $225 million.
Yeah, according to Variety, the deal includes stakes in her master recordings and publishing rights for the 5 studio albums she released between 2008 and 2020. Let's bring in Elizabeth Diltz-Marshall for more on this. She is the senior finance correspondent at Billboard. Liz, good morning. Thanks for being here. Of course, Katy Perry joining a growing list of people who've sold these. Justin Timberlake is on that list. Also, Bruce Springsteen and the late Tina Turner also included on this. So what exactly does this mean and what is the benefit? I'm guessing money has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely. So people often, fans in particular, maybe get a little sad when they hear that their favorite star has sold some of their rights to their songs. But a lot of people do this for estate planning. You know, there's really actually only 2, apart from making new music and touring, there's only 2 ways to really get money as a successful musician. You can take a loan with your songs, or you can sell your songs, your rights to them. And Katy Perry has done this to wild success. This is the biggest deal that we have covered so far this year. Justin Bieber sold his catalog, a portion of his publishing rights, and the master royalty income. So not the masters. The masters are still owned by Capitol Records and UMG. But they've both sold them for well over $200 million.
So then we see, though, artists like Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Swiftie, full disclosure, but who's essentially doing the opposite, kind of trying to reclaim her music, recording her own versions, which is a whole conversation for another time. But walk us through that, why somebody would decide to not want to have somebody else owning her music.
Yeah, so Taylor famously was very upset when the master recording rights to her original albums were sold. And she has gone about it in a really creative way, in a really successful way. She's re-released, effectively tweaked the songs a little bit, performed them slightly differently, 3 whole albums. And they have become the go-to albums by her fans and by streaming numbers. So she's doing great there in her pushback.
Yeah, isn't it kind of amazing, actually, what those Taylor's versions are doing versus, I mean, they're albums that have already been out in the world, already had a fan base, but they're doing so well.
Yes, and so she re-released Red this summer. Fearless and one other album were much older than that, re-released in 2021. But these have just done gangbusters. Billboard recently analyzed the numbers on how frequently the original album versus the re-released Taylor's version has been streamed. Fearless and Red, I believe, are both doing 3 times the numbers.
Wow. I have a friend who works at a radio station, and she says there is such demand for Taylor's version to be played only. They do not want to hear the original.
No, we fans.
Swifties know what they're doing.
The other one's dead to us.
But for a lot of people trying to wrap their brains around this, what does this mean for Katy Perry fans? Does this change anything, their access to her songs or where they'll hear them?
If anything, it might mean that you'll hear her songs more. So when these rights change hands, the new owners, whether they're a catalog fund, a music label like UMG, or some other kind of entity, they have an incentive to then get that music out there making money again, or more money than it already was making to begin with. And, you know, you hear Taylor's song, you hear Katie's songs in Yankee Stadium. She played the Super Bowl. You already hear her songs in arenas all over the world. But you might see a Katie movie coming up. You might see Katie museum exhibitions of her costumes, her wonderful, you know, candy-colored costumes, all of that.
Awesome.
Very nice. Even
a lot
more
to look
for
forward
fans.
to then, maybe, as a Katy Perry fan. All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Good morning, and thank you for being with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
And I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe Fryer this morning. Right now on Morning News Now, back home. After years in Iranian custody, 5 wrongfully imprisoned Americans are back on U.S. soil. The move is part of a prisoner swap and transfer of $6 billion, and the deal is not without its controversy. We're digging into the pushback and new sanctions, along with what comes next for those newly freed. Plus, off the radar, after a day-long search, the debris of a missing F-35 stealth jet have been found. But the questions about its disappearance, they are only just beginning. The possible malfunction that caused the military's most advanced fighter jet to temporarily disappear, and how officials are now responding. Gridlock. This morning, the clock is ticking for the United Auto Workers and Big 3 automakers to reach a deal. And the UAW says it's tired of waiting for the new action. They say that they're ready to take it to the sides if they don't make, quote, serious progress by Friday. And fall foliage feud. This morning, people in one scenic Vermont town say they're being overrun by leaf peepers trying to snap their perfect shot for social media. Now they are fed up, and they're not alone. The action they're now taking and the growing pushback from scenic communities around the world.
Peepers.
Who would have thought? Yeah, leaf peepers.
There you go.
Didn't know that even was a thing. Well, we do begin this morning with the dramatic homecoming from 5 American prisoners landing at a U.S. military base overnight after being released from Iran.
Senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has the latest for us.
Those 5 Americans touched down here at Fort Belvoir in Virginia just a short time ago, and we're just getting these new images in. That plane touching down on the tarmac, the family members rushing to meet them carrying small American flags. It's a bit chilly here in Virginia this morning, but that was quickly forgotten. Look at those warm embraces in that new video. This was the moment that these families have been waiting for.
Overnight, 5 Americans locked up for years in Iran finally free. A long journey home for the U.S. citizens after years of delicate negotiations for their release.
As far as we know, they're all in relatively good health.
The prisoners first boarded a charter plane in Tehran, then hours later landed in Doha. Some of them seen smiling. 3 of them, all dual Iranian-American citizens, sharing an embrace as they walked into the terminal. The other 2 Americans have asked for privacy and have not been identified.
I spoke to them after they landed in Doha. I can tell you that it was, for them, for me, an emotional conversation.
Siamak Namazi, who the U.S. says was arrested on false espionage charges, writing, "For almost 8 years, I have been dreaming of this day," adding he can't wait to get to an Apple store. "I am dying to find out what gadgets now exist."
He's missed 8 years of the most productive years of his life. He wants to be married. He wants to have kids.
Still, the swap is controversial. In addition to the U.S. and Iran exchanging 5 prisoners, the Biden administration also unlocking $6 billion in Iranian money frozen by U.S. sanctions. The White House says Iran can only use it for things like food and medicine, with U.S. officials approving each transaction. But Iran's president told NBC's Lester Holt last week,
"We will decide, the Islamic Republic of Iran will decide to spend it wherever we need it."
Republicans arguing the money was essentially a ransom.
Unfortunately, the deal that secured their release may very well be the latest example of President Biden rewarding and incentivizing Tehran's bad behavior.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration is stressing that those $6 billion are not U.S. taxpayer money, that it originally belonged to the Iranians. The White House is also slapping new sanctions on Iran over the presumed death of a former FBI agent in Iranian custody. But this morning, the focus is on those 5 American citizens now back in the arms of their family members. Back to you.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you so much.
For some perspective on this, let's bring in Hagar Shamal. She's the host of Oh My World on YouTube and a former spokesperson for the U.S. mission to the UN. Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us. So we heard from Senator McConnell call this a ransom payment. Others have implied it could put Americans at risk who are abroad to be taken prison there themselves. What is your sense of this swap?
Well, all of that can be true. It doesn't mean that it's not good news. On the question of the money and whether it's a ransom payment, you know, ransom, it's semantics. It's sort of a ransom. The definition of a ransom is an exchange of money to release prisoners. It was not U.S. money. It was providing Iran with indirect access to its own frozen funds that had been frozen in South Korea. They've been moved to a bank in Qatar, the Central Bank of Qatar, and can only be used for humanitarian purposes. And for anybody who believes, well, how on earth can the U.S. monitor that? The answer is that is literally what the United States does. We did that. I was at the U.S. Treasury Department when we did that, when we sanctioned Iranian oil, and that money was frozen all over the world, including in places like South Korea and elsewhere. And if we ever saw that money being used for other purposes, we were very quick to hop on a plane and tell the offending bank or country that they needed to knock it off. So I have no concerns about that money being diverted in any way. So it is indirect access to their own frozen funds. In terms of the criticism, you know, as a rule, if you are engaging in any kind of negotiations or deals to release prisoners, yes, it does encourage the behavior. We already know that. But the fact is that the Iranian regime and other, by the way, dictatorships, Russia and so on, are going to continue pursuing that behavior. Hostage diplomacy is a hallmark of the Iranian regime. And the reason for that is that they have no cards to play. It is the only way they can find a means of getting political concessions. And I'm not justifying it. It is also because the Iranian regime does not abide or play by the same rules that we do. And so our leverage when we are negotiating and we have a hostage at the other end is very difficult.
This is, though, all going on with the backdrop of these broader tensions in the region, and even a UN nuclear watchdog group said in recent days inspectors have been kicked out of Iranian nuclear program sites. Put these concerns in context.
Sure. So I heard some statements saying that perhaps this now means that this lays the foundation for a renewal of talks between the United States and Iran, and I would not expect that. Far from it. If anything, I expect the U.S. administration to only distrust the regime even further, regardless of whether the nuclear program is a different issue. Iran right now, its enrichment of uranium is as close as it's ever been to weapons grade. So to begin with, Iran's nuclear program is farthest along it's ever been, and so that's not in a good place. And then on the other hand, when you have this hostage situation, it just further exacerbates the situation. And when you know that the Iranian regime is pursuing, by the way, assassination and kidnapping plots on U.S. soil, it further deteriorates that. So I don't expect any kind of movement on that front.
All right, good perspective. Hagar Shamal, thank you so much.
Well, turning now to South Carolina, where the search for that missing F-35 stealth jet is over. Officials believe they found the debris field for the military's most advanced aircraft nearly 24 hours after the jet vanished. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins us now from Indiantown, South Carolina, with the details. Hey, Sam, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. This is still confounding. As you mentioned, I'm in Indiantown this morning. This is a small unincorporated community here in Williamsburg County, where behind me, I'm told there are a few homes, mostly fields, and now the shattered pieces of a $100 million fighter jet. Now, Savannah, what we don't know this morning beyond this military barricade behind me is how far back the debris field goes. What we do know is that the aircraft did not land in one of several area lakes. That was the original speculation, as the investigation right now really ramping up into how the military could lose track of a fighter jet for 24 hours.
A high-level mystery this morning in South Carolina's Low Country. A $100 million F-35 fighter jet missing for a day. Eventually found last night, where it apparently crashed in this rural area, according to the military, 2 hours northeast from Joint Base Charleston. One resident thinks he heard it go down.
When I heard the plane coming across, I said, the plane is mighty low. Then I heard boom.
Others, like Vanessa Presley, trying to get a read on how this search went off the radar.
Are people here talking about how strange it is that a fighter jet disappeared for 24 hours?
Yes, especially when it costs that much amount of money. Yeah, that's just not something that happens every day.
The stealth aircraft went missing after the pilot and only person on board was forced to eject on Sunday. The military base making a plea to the public. If you have any information that may help our recovery teams locate the F-35, please call the Base Defense Operations Center. But how details of this mishap were communicated, not sitting well with area Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
Frustrated would be an understatement right now because our community deserves basic minimum answers.
So far, neither Joint Base Charleston nor the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, where the jet is part of the training squadron, are commenting on what might have caused the unexplained series of events. The FAA is also not responding to our request for comment, but is working with the military, local and state law enforcement, and the Civil Air Patrol. In the wake of this incident and 2 deadly crashes involving Marine Corps aircraft in the last month, the acting commandant ordering a safety stand-down of all Marine Corps aircraft for 2 days this week. NBC News aviation analyst Jeff Gazzetti says there's at least one crucial resource for getting some answers.
We have a living pilot, a living witness to tell us what happened, and I'm sure he's already told their story to the investigative team. It's our most advanced jet in this country, and we need to find out what went wrong.
One of the most common questions that comes up right now is, are you telling me that there was nothing on this aircraft to track where it was? And there typically is a transponder. There was one, according to a spokesperson for Joint Base Charleston, but that person also says it was not working, and they have not determined yet, Savannah, as to why. So it's not clear. Did it malfunction after the pilot ejected? Was it not functioning the entire time? So that is going to be part of this investigation. Savannah?
Yeah, last hour, Stephen called this one a head scratcher, which it certainly is. Sam Brock, thank you very much.
Well, here in New York City, the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly is underway.
Yeah, leaders from dozens of countries have come together to confront global challenges like climate change and Russia's war in Ukraine. Today, we're expected to hear from both President Biden and the president of Ukraine, President Zelensky, at the summit. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us here on set with a preview. Peter, it's great to have you here in New York with us.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. So first, why don't we talk about President Biden? What can we expect from his address today?
Well, I think, as you note in your introduction, that he is going to be outlining his vision to tackle these global challenges. No bigger global challenge still exists than what's happening in Ukraine right now, this war now in its 19th month. So certainly the president will focus on that a bit. But that's not the only one. Think about the other issues, some of them a function of the war right now. Food insecurity, with food prices spiking around the world in large part due to this war, climate change, record temperatures, infrastructure, and the like. So the U.S., the president will really try to promote U.S. leadership in this moment. And aides that I've spoken to and advisors really view this as an opportunity this go around for President Biden, because notably of sort of the 5 big superpowers in the world, Britain, France, Russia, China, and the U.S., only President Biden is going to be there. Notably, President Xi of China and President Putin of Russia will both be absent. So that's significant, gives him an opportunity to really try to speak the American message to the global community and to those developing nations as well.
And speaking of Ukraine, as you mentioned earlier, President Zelensky set to make his first in-person appearance since the start of the war in Ukraine. What is his message expected to be to world leaders?
The message, I think, Stephen, is going to be a familiar one. Obviously, he needs more support. He needs more money. This war shows no sign of letting up. This counteroffensive that many people had been sort of eyeing as an opportunity to push back against the Russians has, if not stalled, certainly not progressed the way that anybody was hoping it would right now. So we will hear from Zelensky. And then notably, he's going to make his case directly to President Biden. He's going to be coming to Washington, D.C. on Thursday, a couple days from now. He'll come to the White House, meet with the president, make the argument to members of Congress as well for additional funding going forward for arms and other needs that Ukraine has right now. But Stephen and Savannah, one of the real challenges for Ukraine and for Zelensky is that Republicans certainly are skeptical about sending more money to Ukraine. And Americans broadly, a majority of Americans now don't support the idea of sending additional funds to Ukraine. So he does face some real challenges.
Before we let you go, I do want to switch into campaign mode just for a moment.
Yeah.
President Biden kind of sharpening some language when it comes to his predecessor, former President Trump. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. So he's in town. Obviously, politicians, when they come through New York, a lot of wealthy folks around here hold some of these fundraisers. He did the same. And when he was at one of these fundraisers, first, one of his biggest political liabilities is his age. He'll be 81 in 2 months. He said, among other things, he's more optimistic about the future of the country than he has been in his words, 800 years that he has served. That got some laughs, so a little self-deprecation. But he did, as you say, have some of his sharpest, toughest words as they relate to the former president, President Trump, criticizing him. The first comments he's made since that interview with the new moderator of Meet the Press, Kristen Welker, where he said, among other things, that Trump and his allies will likely side with dictators like Vladimir Putin. And he said, quote, and I think you'll hear this quote again, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy democracy. Some real tough language, setting the stakes for the 2024 effort.
Absolutely.
Certainly more to come there. All right. Yeah. Peter Alexander, thank you.
Well, the United Autos workers strike against the nation's big three automakers now in its 5th day, with the union ramping up pressure. In a new video posted overnight, UAW President Shawn Fain warned if members don't see serious progress by noon Friday, more local chapters could be called to join the strike.
Auto workers have waited long enough to make things right at the big three. We're not waiting around, and we're not messing around. So noon on Friday, September 22nd is a new deadline.
NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now with the latest on the list. Hi, Maggie. So where do negotiations stand this morning? What do we know?
Yes, so Savannah, that video that you just showed part of, again, that was released late last night, that really sums it up. Workers here not giving on any of their demands, including that key 40% pay bump that they say essentially they want after they say the union gave up major concessions during the 2008 recession. That's the reason for that high number. And they say they're not going to give on that at all. As we know, the car companies at last check gave around a 20% proposed pay raise. So still a lot of ground between these two sides to make up. And that noon deadline, that noon Friday deadline, warning that it basically, again, if they don't see what they called serious progress, this strike could expand. That is new pressure from the union to make the car companies sort of responsible for bridging the gap between the two. We started to see responses from the big three, Ford in particular, saying that they're still focused on reaching a deal, saying they're working for a win-win, but also saying they are working on and they have contingency plans in the case of basically expanded walkouts. You also see GM releasing their statement saying they are continuing to bargain in good faith. But essentially, we're not seeing any ground given up by the big three either. So it seems very possible that this could stretch on until Friday and we could see those walkouts expand, guys.
Yeah, and we could potentially even see it expand right into Canada. Ford workers threatening to strike there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it is really important to point out that's not UAW. That is a different union, but they have released a statement in solidarity. I'll let that supporter go by. In solidarity with UAW workers here in Michigan. Unifor is the name of the Canadian union. They work at 2 Ford Canadian plants. And basically, you might have seen headlines last night as we approached midnight last night. Union workers at those Ford plants in Canada, basically in Ontario, were minutes away from striking. They hadn't been very transparent about what their demands were. They're not talking as much as the UAW counterparts down here in the States, but basically saying they were really close to striking as well, but that they got what they called a substantive offer just minutes before the deadline there. So talks at least have been extended in Canada, but that union also warning its members to basically remain ready to strike until this thing gets wrapped up. Savannah.
And former President Trump is planning a visit, right? When's that expected to happen?
Yeah, lots of headlines here in the last 24 hours. So former President Trump basically announced late yesterday, confirming first to the New York Times, then CNBC. It kind of slowly leaked out his campaign, saying that next week, specifically next Wednesday, he's expected to skip the next GOP, the second GOP debate, and come here to the Detroit area to talk to UAW workers. It is important to note Ford and UAW both telling us, because Ford is obviously the one with the footprint here, they have not been contacted by the Trump campaign, basically to let them know about these plans, to kind of coordinate any massive reception or anything like that. President Trump, of course, has been very vocal on social media, on Twitter, on Truth Social, talking about basically putting the blame for this strike on the Biden administration and particularly honing in on these workers' fears about the future of electric vehicles and how that could reduce the workforce long term. Experts have said it takes less labor to build an electric car than a traditional car. So he's really honed in on that, saying basically the Biden administration He sees the words is selling you down the tubes to these workers. So expect to see him here, at least according to these latest plans, in town next week, trying to sell that message to these potentially still picketing union members. Guys.
All right, Maggie, thank you.
Well, fall might be just days away, but for some parts of the country, it's feeling like the heat of summertime.
Angie Lastman's back with us. Hey, Angie.
Hey there, guys. I hope people didn't close their pools because we've got temperatures into the 80s, some spots close to 90. We'll talk about those summer highs that are stretched across parts of the plains and into the Midwest. We've also got some severe storms that we'll focus on for parts of the plains. And, of course, that rain and wind that you might have dealt with across the Northeast and New England. Well, it is luckily on its way out. Let's start with those temperatures, though. A big section of the country running way warm for this time of year. We've got Omaha headed close to 90 degrees, 10 to 15 degrees above normal across that region. Minneapolis heads to the low 80s. Look at Pierre, 90 degrees. We'll see Wichita head to the mid 80s, and of course down through parts of Texas, 5 to 10 degrees above normal, still into the 90s through the afternoon hours today. Looking ahead to tomorrow, more of that warmth spreads into places like Minneapolis, which are even warmer as we head to 86 for a high tomorrow. Chicago will hit the low 80s. We felt like fall earlier into the last week, not so much anymore. And that warmth will stretch well into our work week and even into parts of our weekend. Places like Cincinnati will hang out into the low 80s through Saturday. Nashville heads to the mid 80s through Saturday. And you'll notice parts of the mid-Atlantic will eventually start to cool down back into the low 70s for Washington, D.C. and Raleigh by the time we get into Saturday. There's the rain that's on its way out for parts of New England, just northern New England, really dealing with a couple of these lingering showers. But the low pressure, I should say, is moving to the east, and we're still going to see the potential for maybe a couple of flood concerns. Most of these flood watches will start to taper off here as we get into the later morning hours as that rain finally comes to an end, but it will come to an end today. So that's the good news there. Heads up, though, if you live in parts of Texas extending into Oklahoma, we've got the potential for some strong storms later today. They'll stretch into this evening, too. The good news is tornado risk is low, but we could see hail up to baseball size and, of course, those damaging winds, 60 miles per hour or higher. So Oklahoma City, Wichita Falls, Breckenridge, just something to keep an eye out for later today. And on top of that, some additional rainfall in the same area centered across Tulsa. We could see some of those higher amounts, and localized spots could receive up to 4, maybe even 6 inches by the time we get into tomorrow.
Wow. That and baseball-size hail?
You don't want to deal with that.
Angie, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, Prince William takes New York.
Up next, we'll go inside the Royals' whirlwind trip through the city and the green project that caught his eye.
We're back now with international headlines. Tension is rising between Canada and India after the killing of a Sikh activist in British Columbia.
NBC News foreign correspondent Kelly Kobaya joins us with more. Hey, Kelly, good morning.
Good morning to you, Savannah and Stephen. Yes, both sides now expelling diplomats after the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, made this fiery speech in Parliament, claiming that the country's intelligence agencies are looking into what they say are credible allegations of a possible link between Indian government agents and the murder of a Canadian citizen in Canada. Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar was gunned down June 18th outside a Sikh cultural center in British Columbia. He's a strong supporter of an independent Sikh homeland, but the Indians have designated him a terrorist. India's government called the allegations absurd. In Italy, the prime minister there is calling for a naval blockade off North Africa to stop people smugglers from sending migrants across the Mediterranean to Europe. It comes after the small Italian island of Lampedusa was overwhelmed last week with 7,000 migrants arriving in a single day, more than the island's entire population. And Japan is turning gray, now officially with the world's oldest population. For the first time ever, more than 1 in every 10 people are over the age of 80 in Japan, and almost a third, 29.1%, are over 65. And guys, workers over the age of 65 now make up more than 13% of the workforce. So living longer and working longer. Stephen?
Yay,
Savannah.
not so yay.
Yeah, really.
All right. Kelly, thank you so much.
Well, Prince William is here in New York for a 2-day tour around the city. The Royals' itinerary includes taking part in an environmental summit and taking a closer look at a very unique project off Governor's Island.
NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has those details.
So I'm no New Yorker, you can tell from the accent, but I'm pretty confident that many New Yorkers would not wade into the Hudson River the way that Prince William did, as you're about to see. Prince William bringing a little star power to the UN General Assembly focus on climate change this week, and going to see a project we at NBC News focused on early on. The Prince of Wales taking the Big Apple by storm on a 2-day solo excursion with his focus on climate change. He made a stop at the United Nations, meeting with Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Hours earlier, Prince William touched down on Governor's Island, experiencing the work of the Billion Oysters Project from the lens of a volunteer. It's the first time Prince William has been to New York in almost a decade. He touched down a few hours ago and got straight down to work. Prince William touring the group's facility on Governor's Island and harvesting oysters with children from Brooklyn's Harbor Middle School. What did he ask you?
He asked us about how oysters were formed and about what happens in the New York Harbor.
Yeah, and like the creatures that live there. He was really interested in everything.
We were there with him as he took to a boat for a closer look with Billion Oyster Project co-founder Peter Malinowski.
I think his presence is a sign of his enthusiasm for it.
The program, which has engaged more than 100,000 volunteers, has restored over 130 million oysters in New York Harbor, helping to improve water filtration and benefiting the surrounding ecosystem. Malinowski telling me the Prince's visit Monday has been meaningful.
It's hugely important to shine a light on the people who are doing good work and the projects that are doing good work. And so we really appreciate the Prince coming to do that.
But catching the attention of royalty is just the beginning for this organization that hopes to restore 1 billion oysters by 2035. This is the first time Prince William has learnt about the Billion Oyster Project. Today, viewers, of course, know all about it.
All right, y'all ready?
Last year, the Today Show team volunteered on oyster reefs with the program. With more stops planned this morning, the Prince of Wales already demonstrating he's all hands on deck when it comes to fighting climate change. And later today, Prince William will focus on his Earthshot Prize, which looks at extraordinary projects that try and help the environment.
All right, Keir, thank you so much.
Well, coming up, a bear caused a partial shutdown of the happiest place on Earth, and we are not talking about Baloo from the Jungle Book.
The hairy situation that played out at the happiest place on Earth and how it all came to a very happy ending. Up next.
We're back now with a warning for parents about the effects of low-carb diets on their kids. While these types of diets may be used as a popular weight loss strategy for some people to prevent the risk of diabetes in adults, doctors are urging parents not to use them for children.
Yeah, a new report from the American Academy of Pediatrics found that there is limited evidence that cutting back on carbs can be helpful for children. And it also says, quote, there are safety concerns to consider for youth with diabetes.
Let's bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel for more on this. Good morning, Dr. Patel. So if you could tell us, what are some of the risks associated with these low-carb diets in children?
Yeah, Stephen, Savannah, just to level set, for children, about 2/3 of their diet, 65% of their diet should come from healthy carbohydrates. Cutting back on these carbs, which might seem low carb, keto, kind of even just lower carb, anything less than about 26% of your diet coming from carbs could lead to just poor long-term growth, nutritional deficiencies. Could also start a really potentially bad eating disorder habit, too, because of those preferences earlier in childhood and adolescence.
Oh, so important to be careful of something like that. Dr. Patel, so instead of cutting back on carbs to maintain a healthy weight, what do doctors recommend for families who might be kind of watching out for something with their kids? What can you do instead?
Yeah, Savannah, this is really hard because, look, I'm a mom, I've got kids. It's so much easier to try to put some of the processed food because it's just easier to get, and sometimes it can even be cheaper. What we really have to try to concentrate on doing is making sure that kids get about 1/4 of their diet from healthy protein, 1/4 of their diet from healthy fats, things like nuts and good sources of oils and fats, and then the rest of it should be from healthy carbohydrates, and we're talking fruits and grains and vegetables. That can get hard, not just on the wallet, but it can also get hard hard because you got to plan for these things, but it is what we recommend. It can also help with weight loss, along with about an hour of activity a day. Don't forget that in children. It can really make a difference.
And you mentioned cost. It's such a barrier for so many people. Prices, it's easier to go to the store, grab something cheap that's processed, it's a carbohydrate, but not a healthy kind. What can people who are operating on a budget, what can they do to help here?
Yeah, these are the things I recommend for my family and my patients. Number one, try to think about planning in advance. It's true. If you can sit down anytime and just plan even like a stretch of meals, a week of meals at a time, you can find ways to cut costs and swap and let those meals last longer. You can freeze them, use them in a couple of days in the refrigerator. The second thing is don't deny the ability to get cheaper foods through frozen vegetables, frozen fruits, and canned fruits and vegetables. You just got to make sure they're not packed in syrup and sugar, not packed with a lot of creamy sauces or butter. And then I think third, think about doing this kind of as a group. If you're in an apartment building, a townhome, there's probably a lot of other families around you. Think about shared meals, because a lot more food can go a longer way, not just for the budget, but for the nutritional plan.
Some good tips there. When I was a kid, I think most of my carbohydrates came from a Little Debbie snack cake. So some good advice for families there. Share some meals. All right, Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, listen to this. It turns out even black bears want to visit the happiest place on Earth. You heard that right. Thousands of guests at Disney World were caught by surprise and they were forced to evacuate Magic Kingdom due to a black bear sighting. That bear was safely captured, as you're seeing, and removed from the park, but not before causing a little bit of chaos. NBC News correspondent Guad Venegas is in Orlando with this story for us. Hey, Guad, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. It was a wild day here where they do have animals and they also have magical creatures like the bears, the animatronic bears from Country Bear Jamboree. In fact, when the news broke out on social media yesterday, some people thought the news was referring to those bears, only to be surprised that there was, in fact, a real live bear inside the park, which was the cause for a partial shutdown.
This was no lovable Disney character taking a stroll in the park. Instead, a real-life bear was spotted Monday inside the Magic Kingdom, the wild animal forcing a temporary shutdown of parts of the theme park.
They're blocking everyone from heading into Liberty and into Frontierland,
including some of Disney's most popular areas, Frontierland, Liberty Square, and Adventureland, which all reopened in the early afternoon, according to a Disney World statement. From above, this exclusive video from our NBC affiliate WESH appears to show state wildlife officials capturing the female bear. With fall just days away, experts say the animal could have been in search of the bare necessities. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission telling NBC News in a statement the Magic Kingdom bear was likely moving through the area searching for food.
Well, bears are very opportunistic feeders. They follow their nose. The Magic Kingdom is a potpourri of aromas of food.
Florida is not only home to bears, but other potentially dangerous wildlife, especially alligators. In 2016, a 2-year-old boy from Nebraska drowned after he was dragged into a body of water by an alligator while playing in the Seven Seas Lagoon at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. The park ultimately closing all beaches and adding warning signs and barriers around waterfront areas across its resort. In the 5 years since the deadly incident, wildlife officials have removed 250 alligators from Walt Disney World property, and while attacks by bears are rare, wildlife experts say it's best not to panic if you encounter one.
If you come across a bear, the worst thing you can do is turn and run. Never turn and run and scream. Put your arms up, make yourself look as big as possible, speak firmly, hey bear, slowly back up. Don't run at the bear or anything like that.
That's, of course, great advice. Now, the Fish and Wildlife Commission does say that normally when they have a situation like this, they allow the bear to make its way through and then leave on its own. Of course, they couldn't do that in this occasion because it was Disney World. The expert telling me he wasn't surprised because of the large number of bears that there are in the wild in Florida, and also the location Disney World is in. There is a forest just west of Disney World where this bear could have come from, Savannah.
Guad, what do you think? You see a bear? Is that what you're doing? Hey bear, hey bear. I'm freaking out. That's what I'm doing.
I think that was really good advice. You know, you stand up tall. I will say, Savannah, I spent hours watching videos yesterday of encounters with black bears, and as the expert told me, those bears are somewhat less aggressive than other bears, at least in the encounters that I was able to see online.
All right, Quad, there you go. What a way to spend your day. Quad Venegas, thank you very much.
Well, coming up this morning, a fall brawl, a battle over social media and neighborhood privacy.
Yeah, why one New England town is taking action against leaf peepers. That's up next. We are back with an update on the detained Wall Street Journal reporter, Evan Gershkovich. The Moscow courts did not issue a verdict for his appeal over the extension of his pretrial detention.
The court held a hearing this morning to review the appeal from the American journalist. You can see Gershkovich in the courtroom here. He was arrested back in March and charged with espionage shortly after. He is the first journalist to face those charges since the Soviet era. Gershkovich was initially scheduled to be released from jail in August, but the court extended his hold until November. Both the U.S. government and the Wall Street Journal denounced that move. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter joins us now for more on this. Molly, good morning to you. So this is the second time Gershkovich is submitting an appeal regarding his pretrial detention. Walk us through what happened in the courtroom this morning and why did the court not issue a verdict?
Hey guys, good morning. So there was a lot of confusion, and actually we are still learning. Our team was actually there, got inside the court. As you guys described, this was meant to be kind of a pretrial appeal hearing. His lawyers appealing to get him out of that pretrial detention, which was meant to last until November 30th. So what our understanding is, according to state media, according to the press secretary, they're speaking to our NBC News team on the ground, is that not only did the court not uphold this appeal, they kept him in detention, but then they also kicked the appeal down to a lower court over procedural violations. What it means, though, for Evan is that he stays behind bars.
So, Molly, the U.S. ambassador to Russia made her third visit to see Gershkovich in prison on Friday. We also heard from her this morning following this court hearing. What did we learn about his condition and how the U.S. government is responding to this news?
Yeah, Savannah, that's right. And U.S. officials have been very critical over their access limitations to Evan. While he's been in prison, they have not been getting the kind of consular access that they are guaranteed under international law. We did just hear from the ambassador. I do just want to play you that sound, and then I'll talk to you on the back end.
The U.S. position remains unwavering. The charges against Evan are baseless. The Russian government locked Evan up for simply doing his job. Journalism is not a crime. Although we could not speak with Evan in the courtroom today, I was able to visit him at the Lefortovo prison last week. Evan is fully aware of the gravity of his situation, yet he remains remarkably strong.
Now, about her visit to Evan on Friday, she said he remains strong and is keeping up with the news, including his parents' appearance at the UN this week, which I think we'll talk about in the next question. But he apparently is strong and he is healthy, according to her.
Yeah, we definitely do want to hear about that, Molly. Also, lawyers for Dow Jones, that's the company that publishes the Wall Street Journal, are calling on the United Nations to declare Gershkovich arbitrarily detained. Walk us through what that means and also what his family had to say at the UN.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they're trying to get UN experts on side with that arbitrarily detained declaration. Just to be very clear, the UN doesn't have any enforcement mechanism. What it does do, of course, this week is UNGA, lots of world leaders in New York, is it ramps up the pressure on Russia. Now, his family did speak. Let's listen to his sister, Danielle, and I'll speak to you on the back end.
We should be planning for his birthday next month and deciding how we can possibly match his talent for finding the most thoughtful gifts for his family and friends. We should be laughing together and arguing over what he and my dad are going to make for dinner. Evan should be doing the important work of helping people understand matters in the world that affect us all. Instead, we are here to remind the world that Evan is innocent and journalism is not a crime. We ask that world leaders help find a solution to secure Evan's release.
Now, his father also had a very strong statement about how his son upheld the basic right to free press. You've got to bet this will be on the agenda for lots of high-level discussions this week as world leaders descend on New York.
Absolutely. All right, Molly Hunter, thank you so much for your reporting here on this news breaking this morning.
All right, now to financial headlines. Some huge, costly changes could be coming for X users. That's, of course, the platform formerly known as Twitter.
That's right. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us on this. Hey, Silvana.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Stephen. Yeah, so Elon Musk says X could start charging all users for access. In a live stream discussion with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Musk says the single most important reason to move to a small monthly fee is that it's the only way to fight bots. Musk says that would discourage the creation of fake accounts, which are known for posting spam and misinformation. He didn't definitively say X will start charging people, and it's unclear how much or when it could happen. X currently offers a premium subscription for $8 a month, giving users a blue verified badge, fewer ads, and the ability to edit posts. The Defense Department has teamed up with Google to build an AI-powered microscope to help doctors identify cancer. The augmented reality microscope, or ARM, could be a useful tool for pathologists who don't have easy access to a second opinion. The AI is able to outline where the cancer is located and how bad it might be. The microscope isn't intended to replace digital pathology systems, but experts say it could help health groups bypass the need for them. And a federal judge is ordering Starbucks to face a lawsuit claiming several of its refresher fruit drinks don't have a key ingredient, fruit. Consumers complain the drinks don't contain the advertised mango, passion fruit, or acai, and they say the main ingredients were water, grape juice concentrate, and sugar, and the misleading names caused them to be overcharged. Starbucks claims the product names describe the drink's flavors as opposed to their ingredients, guys.
What? That is some shocking
That's exactly
news
what
to
I
me.
said. I was shocked.
It's not. You're
It
kidding.
actually is, yes.
You thought there was really
I thought I was
fruit
getting
in
a
those?
great dose of mango in my
Oh, come on.
morning refresher.
Okay, thank you, Silvana.
I'm going
You
to tune
got
this
it.
out. All right. Silvana, thank you.
Okay, it's one of the most beautiful sights to be seen at this time of year, the spectacular changing colors of fall foliage. But now, one Vermont town known for its autumn displays is fighting back against what they call out-of-control leaf peepers. It's just a challenge to see how many times I can say that this morning. It has shut down a well-known road for several weeks, and it's not the only place that is taking a stand. NBC News correspondent Kristen Dahlgren. Look at this background, Kristen. She's in Vermont, and I hope that you're about to start saying peepers as many times as I've had to this morning. Hey, Kristen, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah and Stephen. Yeah, does this look familiar at all? I'm told it's one of the most photographed spots in Vermont. It is absolutely beautiful. It is where those leaf peepers come every year, but neighbors say now it has gotten out of hand.
You've probably seen Sleepy Hollow Farm on Instagram or TikTok.
From here, we'll stop by the famous Sleepy Hollow Farm, which we've all seen all over social media.
When the leaves change, this quaint little spot rivals Grand Central Station.
This is insane.
Hundreds of cars line the narrow road trying to get that perfect pic.
It's worth dealing with the crowds because this is the most picturesque place in Vermont.
The problem is it's not an actual tourist destination, but somebody's private residence with real-life neighbors.
People showing up and walking all over private property and peeing on the side of the road and on private property.
Neighbors like Mike Doughton and Amy Robb say it's out of control.
We see people in dressing rooms, like they bring dressing rooms to change in different outfits and take pictures.
And it's not just privacy, it's safety too. Emergency vehicles often forced to wait in the traffic. So this year, neighbors petitioned to close the road to outside traffic from September 23rd to October 15th, raising the money themselves to cover most of the costs.
Yes, it's beautiful up here, but please, could you make it so that our everyday stuff can get done? Like, I'm just trying to get home with groceries so I can make it. Okay?
It's not only New England towns pushing back against tourists looking for likes. Across the pond in Europe, Hallstatt, Austria, which resembles Arendelle in the Disney movie Frozen, sees more than 1 million tourists each year. Now, its 750 residents have blocked the only road in. Venice just approved a new €5 tax on day trippers. And also in Italy, Portofino is issuing $300 tickets for lingering in popular selfie spots. Back in Vermont, Townspeople say the latest move doesn't mean you won't get a spectacular selfie.
So this is not the only place where you can see beautiful foliage in Vermont.
Absolutely not. You could actually just drive up 89, which is our north-south thruway, and have a beautiful drive.
Vermont's kind of pretty.
It is. We're pretty lucky.
All right, so we reached out to the owners and didn't hear back. The neighbor said it was okay for us to park here today. It's really just during that peak foliage season that they have the problem. And the problem really is just with the safety and with people being disrespectful. You heard him say that they're urinating, on their property. He picks up trash all the time. And so that's really the issue. Last year, they tried to make it one way to allow people to still come through. But the parking on the road was such a problem that they couldn't get through. Emergency vehicles couldn't get through. So plenty of other places in Vermont, guys, to go and get that picture.
Oh, my gosh. The outfit changes, the selfies.
Right, the changing rooms.
And for the record, I don't think I heard peepers in your script once. Kristen, thank you very much. It is beautiful, though. I got to say it. I mean, I do understand why people want to see it. Kristen, thank you so much.
Well, coming up, settling down south.
Up next, we're digging into a new list, breaking down the best places to retire in the South. Stay with us. Santa Claus is getting back into gear ahead of the holiday season. From today, starting today, the U.S. Postal Service's Operation Santa is back. The annual program, it dates all the way back to 1912, encourages children of all ages to write letters to Santa about what they want for Christmas. They then mail them up to, get this, 123 Elf Road, North Pole, 88888. According to USPS, the letters travel to Santa's U.S. satellite workshop, and then they're uploaded to the Operation Santa website, and then generous adults can choose to adopt a letter.
Aww.
For any kids listening, not that Santa's not all over it, but
he's just got a lot to do.
It just means somebody can help him out. Yeah, isn't that sweet?
That's so sweet, helping Santa out. He needs all the help he
Love
can
that.
get.
And it's the holiday season, I think.
It's still summer.
Well, that's not true.
Got a couple days. Well, finally, this hour, kick up your feet because we're talking all things retirement down south.
That's right. Southern Living and Investopedia are teaming up to release a list of the South's best places to retire. Joining us now for a chat about those golden years and where to spend them is editor-in-chief of Southern Living, Sid Evans. He's on Zoom with us, and editor-in-chief at Investopedia, Caleb Silver, friend of the show here on set. Good morning to both of you. Caleb, I will get started with you. So this list, I mean, it's got everywhere from beaches, mountain towns, all different types of stuff. Just tell us some of the criteria that went to creating this list.
Yeah, we know retirement is a financial decision. How much do you have? How much do you need to save and spend down? But it's also about where you live and where your money's going to go the farthest. So we took that collection of those handpicked towns in the South from our partners at Southern Living. We had our data journalism team run an index that looked at cost of living, that looked at how far from healthcare, airports, how far your money's going to go, rent, average income, median income. So we wanted to look at all those things.
And in some of these states, no income tax,
and
right?
some of them have no income tax. So we wanted to look at the most advantageous places to live where your money's going to go the furthest and you can enjoy your retirement.
Love that.
Yeah, and Sid, Chattanooga, Tennessee, considered the best all-around place to retire. Why is that? And take us through some of the other top cities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Chattanooga is a great town, one of my favorites. It's right up the road from us here in Birmingham. It kind of feels a little bit like Boulder, Colorado, but in the South. I mean, everybody's outside all the time. They're kayaking, they're biking. It's the kind of place where you can go kayak before work. There's a beautiful aquarium there. And if you love the outdoors, that town is just really hard to beat. Another great town is Greenville, South Carolina. So if you love to eat, this one was our best food town. And Greenville's not that big, only about 500,000 people in the metropolitan area, but it really punches above its weight when it comes to restaurants. They just have some of the best restaurants, not only in the South, but in the country. They just had a huge food festival this past weekend called Euphoria. And it's just a beautiful town. Another town that sits on a river, kind of like Chattanooga, the Reedy River. It's a great place to walk, great place to bike, and a great place to eat. And then St. Augustine, Florida, that was our best beach town. So this is the oldest continuously occupied city in the U.S. And it's just, it's a beach town, but it's got so much character, so much history. Great place to walk, great place to eat. And there's just a lot to do. You know, unlike some beach towns, this one just really feels like it has a lot of soul and a lot of character. And we actually had it on our cover back in the April issue. It's just, it's hard to beat St. Augustine.
Oh, it's so true. I've been. What a special place that is. So is Chattanooga, by the way. Caleb, you kind of touched on some of the financial reasons that somebody might pick one of these towns, but just help us remember, as our resident numbers guy, some good ways to set yourself up for that period of life.
Yeah, again, it's about how much you need to live the life you want to live. So we know everything's gotten a little more expensive, especially housing costs. So you got to look at things like rent, like the median household price for a home. You got to look at things like that where your money is going to go the furthest. A lot of people say they're not prepared for retirement. About 47% say it's going to take a miracle for them to retire. Well, if you pick the right place and then plan advantageously, you can actually do this even if you don't think you have enough saved. So that's a really big deal. And we know that people are looking for places to stretch their money. That's why we came up with this list. This thing hits newsstands this Friday. You guys get it today.
There we go.
Because I'm here on set with you. But this has a really cool list and some great recipes for that
By the way,
pumpkin pie.
Stephen, look, it's calling it fall.
Oh,
it's fall.
I'm so
You're
sorry.
wearing a fall tie. It's fall, my friend.
It's my husband's tie. Don't blame me. We got like 3 days till fall. He's the one that made sure to tell me that. That's what happens when you're married to a meteorologist. And Sid, where can people grab this online? Is there also an online place?
Yeah,
for
just
that?
quickly tell us.
Yeah, the list just launched this morning on southernliving.com. So go check it out. There's a lot of great towns on there.
There we go. Sid Evans and Caleb Silver, both our respective editor-in-chiefs. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Very cool list.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.